Hey everyone, it's the holiday season, and it's Braulio Rosa here with the Broward Bar Buzz. I'm here with a longtime friend, probably close to 15 years now, Anthony Quackenbush, personal injury attorney, has his own firm, the Quackenbush Law Firm. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with this tort reform and other things that can impact you lawyers, as well as folks that may get injured and need help. So Tony, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. First thing I want to do is just thank my good friend Braulio for having me on, giving me this opportunity. Braulio is the best executive director in the state of Florida, and I mean that. There's some people, I was going to say, there's some people that are just perfect for their jobs, like Tom Hanks is perfect for his job, or Mick Jagger, right, is made to be a lead singer. Braulio was made to be an executive director. He's so good at his job. So anyway, but I want to thank him for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all you do for Broward.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Anthony, I've seen you grow into this amazing lawyer. Like, you were young lawyers for some years. You were with one firm, and then you went to another firm, and then you broke out and hung your own shingle and started your own firm. And you've been successful for years now, helping people out there. And recently, you wrote an article for us on tort reform for the barrister, the Broward County Bar Association barrister. So can you talk a little bit about how tort reform impacts you as a lawyer, but really focus this on like the person out there that may be injured that is seeking some legal advice? What should they be thinking about when they get hurt and they come to see a personal injury attorney?
Well, yeah, so back in March of this year, March 24th of this year, 2023, the Florida Legislature passed a tort reform bill. And tort reform, just essentially what a tort is, like a personal injury case. A tort is if I do something, if I'm negligent and it injures you, that's called a tort, okay? And so when that happens, you have a right to make a claim against me, or if I have insurance, to make a claim against my insurance company and get compensation from me or from my insurance company for your injuries, for your harm. So tort reform is essentially a term for legislation which makes it harder for you to do that, okay, in some form or fashion. And this tort reform that happened back in March of this year did that in many different ways, and we can talk a little about that. But long story short, it made it harder for people, in using the example that I gave, in your shoes, who were harmed by me or somebody else or some company, made it harder for you to get compensation. Okay, not impossible. There's still ways to do that, and that's why I haven't gone out of business. I'm still in business, but just it made it harder. And so, lawyers like me have had to think of creative ways to adapt to it and get around it and still help our clients. And there are things that injured people can do as well.
Talk about how it's made it harder. Can you give some examples of what the legislature has done to make it more difficult to be compensated for being injured?
Sure. So one chief way that this tort reform bill back in March affected things is it included something called bad faith reform. And I'll explain what that means. When I use the term bad faith, basically what it implies, every insurance company has a duty to act in good faith, okay? And what that means is if somebody purchases an insurance policy, right, and they make a claim under the insurance policy, if it's a legitimate claim, the insurance company has a responsibility to act in good faith and pay out on the claim, right? So, for example, if I have life insurance, right, to protect my family, if I pass away, God forbid, and my wife makes a claim under the insurance policy, as long as it's a legitimate claim, there's no, as long as it's a legitimate claim and it falls within the insurance, then the insurance company has a responsibility to act in good faith and pay my wife on the claim, right? So let's say I have a $1 million life insurance policy, right? And God forbid I pass away, my wife makes a claim. The insurance company has a responsibility to act in good faith and pay out on that claim. And if they don't, a judge later on down the line can say, well, you are in bad faith. Quackenbush passed away. He had this insurance policy with you. You should have paid his wife this is all very morbid. I'm talking about. But
you
anyway.
went down the dark path, by the way. But this is why people would come to see a personal injury attorney.
Yeah, I mean, it is a dark path, but a lot of my clients are on dark paths, unfortunately. Anyway, to go to my analogy, if the insurance company denies that claim, a judge could say you were in bad faith. So now I'm going to make you pay. A judge or a jury could say you were in bad faith. So now I'm going to make you pay more than the insurance policy. You had your chance to pay the $1 million life insurance policy when the claim was first made. You didn't do it. Now you're going to have to pay $2 million or $3 million or $5 million or whatever it is. This is what keeps insurance companies honest, okay? Because the insurance company, they know that in the back of their head. Okay, this claim is being made. It's worth $1 million. We better pay this $1 million, because if we don't, and then the case goes to court, there's a trial later on, and Quackenbush's wife gets a verdict of $5 million. She could get the $5 million. We don't want to pay the $5 million, so we're going to pay the $1 million now. We're going to wash our hands of it. That way, we don't have to worry about paying anything more than the insurance policy. Okay, so that's what keeps insurance companies honest, is the threat that they could be held in bad faith, and they could be on the hook for more than the insurance policy. That's changed now. It's harder. Okay, so the tort reform bill that I'm talking about has made it harder. Again, not impossible, but harder to prove that insurance companies were in bad faith. So now, to go back to the original point, now they're less likely to pay out on legitimate claims.
And so how does it become more difficult, though? I mean, if they're refusing to pay for a legitimate, injury or claim, isn't that pretty black and white or not?
There's easier ways for them to, without getting into the weeds on it, there's easier ways for them to wiggle out of it now. So, for example, they get, before I could make a claim and give them 30 days, using my example, to pay the $1 million insurance policy, right? And if they didn't, then they could be held, and then later on we went to court and we got more, they could be held in bad faith. Now they get a longer time period. They get 90 days. They have a right to get more information. And then it also sort of shifts the burden back to the other side, where now the insurance company can say that the lawyer that made the claim, that the lawyer has to prove that the insurance company can basically make an argument that the lawyer was in bad faith, okay? That the lawyer didn't provide all the information that the insurance company needed or requested to fairly. So it just makes it harder. It makes it harder for us to prove that an insurance company is bad faith. But the main effect, which is the point here, is now the insurance company doesn't have the same incentive to pay out on legitimate claims. So they're going to lowball people. They're going to lowball everyday Joes out. They get hurt out in society because they don't have the fear of ending up having to pay more than the insurance policy.
And I could tell you now with injury, but damage. It was my experience. It wasn't that long ago when we had Maria come through, Hurricane Maria.
Sure.
And the bar center was damaged. We had damage to our roof. And it is, to me, at least from that, my experience, insurance companies always want to say no at first. They figure, who's going to fight me?
Yeah.
Who's going to fight me? And they bean count probably. There's probably a process, like back in the day when you were studying law, I'm sure you looked at the case with the exploding Pinto or whatever, and you find out that these corporations are bean counting, figuring out, we're going to save money here. We're not going to pay out, or we'll see who will take us.
Sure.
And we were asking for a pittance. I'll throw out a number.
Yeah.
It was like $25,000 because we had real roof damage. We had water come in and everything. And it ended up where they're like, yeah, no, denied. And we had to hire one of our attorneys to go in. And then they ended up paying like 3 times the amount at the end.
Sure.
Instead of just saying, here's your $25,000, fix your roof.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was just the attorney and having the threat of a lawsuit.
Correct.
And legal actions. What got it? But yeah, I mean, look, corporations, insurance companies, they don't have hearts. People have hearts, right?
Yeah.
But a corporation is not a person. It doesn't have a heart. They don't do things in my experience, they don't do things out of the generosity of their heart.
It's all
right?
this.
It's money. What gets them to do the right thing is threat of being hauled into the courtroom by a trial lawyer, right? And getting hit with a big verdict. And their biggest fear is getting hit with an excess verdict, meaning a verdict bigger than their insurance policy. To go back to my example, if it's a $1 million policy, they worry about having to go into court, and now they have to pay $10 million or something, right? That's what keeps them honest and holds their feet to the fire. It's a little bit less that way now after this tort reform bill. But going back to your point, to your story you just told about the property damage, so that's another thing that the tort reform bill did. That kind of case that you're talking about, it's called a first party. That would be called a first party property damage case. But it's a type of first-party insurance case, or first-party insurance policy. So there's first party and there's third party, right? First party means if I'm making a claim against my own insurance company, like the example I gave about my life insurance policy, that would be first party, right?
Right.
Or the bar's, making a property damage claim through the bar's own insurance. That's first party, right? Third party would be if I'm driving home, and I'm going to going on another dark path here now, but if I'm driving home after this and I get rear-ended, I don't know why I keep talking about myself getting hurt.
I know. Come on, man.
If I got rear-ended on the way home and I was making a claim against the other driver's insurance, that would be third party. Okay, so it's the other party. Anyway, with first party cases, the tort reform bill back in March, it used to be that if you got an attorney on a first party case, like that lawyer that the bar had on the property damage case, that lawyer could get attorney's fees from the insurance company, right? From your insurance company.
Yes, and he did.
That's probably how he got paid. He got his attorney's fees, right? The tort reform bill is now done away with attorney's fees on first party cases. So in that
That's
case,
crazy.
It
How
is.
can that be?
it is crazy,
Because
but
insurance companies immediately say, no, we're not paying you. That is the MO.
and so what it's done now, the effect of it is now it's harder. It would, in your scenario, like the bar with the property damage claim, it'd be harder for the bar to find a lawyer who'd want to take that case or help the bar because they're not going to get paid their attorney's fees, right? So what people are the situation now is people are being stuck with dealing with insurance companies on their own, and you know how that's going to go, right? They can't find an attorney that wants to take the case. Not only so it could be any kind of first party case. It could be life insurance. It could be like automobile insurance, like PIP. You've heard of PIP suits, right?
Really?
So those got affected because those are first party cases.
So an attorney will not get paid to help you.
Won't get attorney's fees. Like another example would be a health insurance denial, right? Like I have a health issue. I keep going back to the theme of me having all these problems. But let's say I have a health issue. I go get medical
You're not
treatment.
liking yourself much today.
I guess. I'll say I have a health issue. I go get medical treatment. My insurance company, my health insurance company denies the claim for whatever reason, right? And I want to hire a lawyer to go fight my health insurance company to get the claim paid for. That lawyer used to they would get their attorney's fees. That's how they would get paid. No longer, right? So I would have a harder time getting an attorney to take that claim for me, to make that claim for me. So what would happen is I'd end up being stuck doing it on my own, right? Fortunately, I'm a lawyer, so I could get through it, but it's not the kind of law that I do, so I'd have a harder time doing it. But if it was a non-lawyer doing it, they're going up against this insurance company that's savvy in this, right? Knows what they're doing.
200 attorneys working for them that are going to
and
block them.
And then pardon the expression, but they don't give a crap about this person,
Of course
right?
not.
Their health insurance claim. So they're going to take advantage, right?
So
it's just
seriously, like I'm blown away. So the
crazy,
Florida
yeah.
Legislature, in their infinite wisdom, decided, you know what? We're going to help the insurance companies. That's what we're talking about.
That's what happened, and it wasn't by chance.
Yeah.
I mean, without getting too political here, the insurance companies did a lot of lobbying, right? They have, put a lot of money into this, and it was years in the making too. There's always tort. I mean, the term tort reform. I think they started pushing tort reform movement started really ramping up back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And in the Florida legislature every year this was coming up. Now we have a great trial lawyers association, the Florida Justice Association, which has done yeoman's work over the years. I know you're familiar with them, probably. Have done yeoman's work, just to give them a plug, over the years, fending this stuff off, right, beating it back.
This was the year.
And it's just, it was a perfect storm. The political climate, again, without getting too political, the political climate, everything just aligned against us and against really
people in general, not against lawyers and not against. No, it was against people.
This was against people.
This was a pro-insurance.
Yeah. This is ultimately the lawyer. I mean, lawyers will be just fine, right? We'll be creative. We're going to figure out a way to get by. The ones that are really going to get hurt is the everyday citizens of the state of Florida. People who they have a water leak in their bathroom, right? Damages their property, or
insurance company doesn't have to pay you anymore.
The insurance company doesn't. They'll get away with stuff, or like I said,
you can't take them to court. No lawyer's going to take the case because they can't get paid.
Because they can't get paid, exactly. So people are going to get taken advantage of. People are going to be hurt. And it's
that's terrible.
It is, yeah.
It just blows me away.
Yeah, so It's tough. So, but that such is life, and we'll be creative, and and that's what we as trial lawyers are doing now. Is just trying to navigate our way around this.
Now,
And-
if
yeah.
a person, let's go away from the property, although that blows me away. I think that impacts so many people across the board. I mean, if you own a house or any kind of property and something happens, and with all the hurricanes coming through now, you're not going to get paid out for
And
any
that's
damages.
when problems are really going to happen.
Yeah.
Is when we do have like a major catastrophe like that, and everybody runs out and makes claims, and then maybe people will start yelling at their legislatures, and
Yeah.
things will get reversed. But for now, we just have to like I
Holy
said,
moly.
adapt. And I do believe that as trial lawyers, we're still going to be able to help our clients get justice for our clients, get our clients compensated. So I think it's not going to slow us down. Yes, things are going to be tougher. We're going to have to be creative. But, one thing about trial lawyers is we've always had our backs against the walls. There's always been people, like I said, since the 80s and 90s, people have been, the tort reformers have been coming for us. And so we've had to develop thick skin. It's made us strong. And, I was talking to another friend of mine. You probably know him, a guy named Andrew Winston. And when this all happened, I remember him saying, and I asked him, because when it all first happened, I was nervous and scared about it.
He's
I
doing a
said,
lot of mediation now, Andrew.
great guy.
Yeah.
And I said to him, because I was nervous, I said, Andrew, are we going to be okay? I was nervous. A lot of us were nervous when this all first happened. He said, yeah, this is just, it's just another chink in the armor, another sword we're going to have to use. And, it's what we do. We can't be deterred. And so,
So what should someone who gets hurt and they want to seek an attorney, what's your advice to them? How should they proceed to contact you, or what are the things, what's the process they have to go through?
Well, first off, act quick, right? Because things are ever changing. So one of the things I mentioned, trial lawyers have had to adapt and be creative and do things. One of the things that happened, which you probably already heard of, is back in March, right before this bill passed, us trial lawyers ran out and we filed filed lawsuits on all of our cases, or as many of them as possible, right? And we had like a week to do this.
There's
it was crazy.
I don't know, thousands of cases now here in Broward that were filed. I heard like 50,000 cases or some incredible number.
And that was done in like a week, because we all heard rumblings of this coming, right? But, it didn't seem like it was going to happen. And, it was such a stretch to think that it could actually happen. So, but then like a week before, it became evident or apparent to most of us that this is going to happen, right? So I remember I was down in the Keys with I was on vacation on like the Thursday before. I think the bill passed on like Tuesday or something, right? And on the Thursday before, when it became apparent that it was actually going to pass, I was down in the Keys with my wife and my kids on vacation. And, I told my wife, hey, I'm sorry, but I got to go back to the room. I got to start filing as many lawsuits as I can. Because the reason for that, just so and you might already know this, Braulio, but the bill only applied to cases where lawsuits weren't already filed before March 24th, which is the day that the bill passed. So anything we filed before March 24th that wasn't retroactive, meaning it didn't affect those cases. It only affected cases that weren't filed by that point. So I told my wife and kids, I got to go back to the hotel room. I got to start filing lawsuits on as many cases as I can. And I did. Me and my brother, who's my associate, and my paralegals, we just started banging these things out. And we filed like 60 lawsuits in like less than a week, right?
Wow.
So
you had no choice.
We had no choice, right? So that was one thing that happened. Now, the effect of that is now the legal system, the judicial system is clogged up, right? The arteries of the judicial system is clogged up because, like you said, thousands of cases were filed. We got to get all these cases to trial, but how do we do that, right? So, it's funny because like the tort reformers, part of the argument for doing it was, well, there's too much litigation, there's too many lawsuits, people are sue happy, right? That's the propaganda that they used to get the bill passed. The truth is, now what they've done is they've created more litigation because we had to and we were just protecting our clients. We didn't have a choice, right?
Right, sure.
We didn't have a choice. So they create a situation now where now there's even more litigation than there would have been, right? Because we had to go file all these lawsuits, which most of those cases would have been resolved without, we would have negotiated with the insurance companies.
Sure.
We would have settled them without litigation. But because all of a sudden the hammer got dropped on us, we had to do it right away. We didn't have a choice. So there's a lot more litigation. But to go back to your question, if somebody gets hurt now, now that this bill is passed, still I would say time is of the essence. Call an attorney, get on it right away, because the other thing is we don't know, there could be further tort reform, right? So there's a legislative session starting in January, just next month. There's other bills up in Tallahassee that have been
You
proposed.
just want to make it basically where you get hurt or get killed, and it's okay. It's cool.
I think, yeah,
I'm being sarcastic, but obviously.
there's people in Tallahassee and in DC that would be okay with a situation like that, right? Where, you get into an accident and you get hurt, and it's just, hey, that's life. It happens, right? I've always believed, and this is why I became a trial lawyer. I've always believed that, and we can get a bad name. People see us as ambulance chasers, and they look at our clients like they're just doing a money grab. I've always believed trial lawyers, we make society safe.
You do.
And I always say to people, next time, and I tell my wife this. I said to her, we were having this conversation recently about my job and what I do and why I'm proud of it. I was saying, next time you look at one of our children, I have 3 kids. Next time you look at one of their toys and you see a safety warning on it or something, you can thank some trial lawyer for that, because there was some trial lawyer out there that got a big, gigantic verdict, and then the toy manufacturer said to themselves, crap, we better put a warning on this toy. Again, they didn't.
Lights in certain places, so that there's no traffic accidents. Or, all these things, signage. So much it protects us as a society.
Every time you put on a seatbelt, or you put your kid in a child safety seat or something. Like I said, going full circle with this, corporations, they don't do things out of the kindness of their heart. They do it because they're scared they're going to get hit with some verdict by some trial lawyer,
Otherwise,
right?
they're motivated by money. Let's be honest.
They're motivated,
and I get it. Look, we all want to make money.
Yeah.
But we're humans, so we do have a heart, and corporations don't. It's a separate.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical of corporations or insurance companies. They have their role in society.
They serve a purpose. Absolutely.
And trial lawyers serve a purpose too. And our purpose is to keep society safe, right? And so, but anyway, I digress. To go back to your question, if somebody gets hurt now and they have a case, and it could be a slip and fall or a car accident or a medical malpractice case, they get harmed by a doctor. That one is pretty relevant now, because that's what we believe may be the crux, the focus of this upcoming legislative session.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like
they already have terrible legislation for medical malpractice. They already carve out to protect doctors.
Medical malpractice has already gone through a wave of tort reform where it became much harder to do those cases.
I just learned that recently, and we were talking about it, the laws that basically protect doctors. That if they were to hurt you or kill you or something, there's very limited people that can file a suit.
That's the free kill law that you're talking about. Yeah. And they're trying, and you probably talked about this in your other podcast, but they're trying to reverse that. They're trying to reverse that now.
That would be good to reverse.
That would be good.
It's crazy.
That would be good.
If something happens to me and my children aren't there yet, and I have a spouse, but God forbid, whatever, I was for whatever reason single or a widower or something, and something happened to me, and my children are 26 years old, they can't file. A doctor killed me, and my children can't seek compensation for their father being killed.
And it makes no sense, because if you don't have a spouse and you don't have a child, it's over 25, and you die as a result of a doctor's malpractice, you can't do a case. I'm sorry, if you don't have a child under 25,
correct,
then you can't do a case. But if you've got a child who's 24, then you can. It's like, what's the difference between 25 and 24?
And it doesn't matter. This is your blood, bones. This is your child. This is no matter how old they are. They want justice for their parent being wrongfully killed. By imagine you go in and you hand yourself over to a doctor, assuming that he or she's going to take good care of you.
Yeah. And the worst part of it is there's just no logic to it. Most laws, even if you don't agree with them, right, there's logic to them. Yeah. You can see, okay, I don't agree with this law, but I could see how somebody would arrive at this conclusion, and I accept that somebody could feel differently than me. But with that, it doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason to it, right? So, but it looks like they're
I
going to
don't think
try.
there's no rhyme or reason to this first property change either. I think that's crazy.
There's no rhyme or reason to that
So
too.
it's like,
Yeah.
because, you're not going to be able to defend yourself against an insurance company without a lawyer if the insurance company says, hey, your roof is okay, man. Hurricane Maria blew your roof off, but you know what? We're not paying you.
Yeah, I mean, the only rhyme or reason to it is the insurance companies looked at their statements or whatever, and they decided we want to make more money.
Yeah,
And-
pretty much. I mean, that's what I see it. There's no.
And again, I don't mean I sound like I'm bad mouthing them. They're a business, and a job of a business is to make money,
Make
right?
money, I get
so
it
you
too.
can't fault them, but I mean,
What
I
kind
guess
of society do we live in then?
Yeah.
I mean, we could get into philosophy, but
So-
that's not the point.
yeah, we could, but in answer to your question, a person who's injured now, especially like if it's in a medical malpractice situation, but anything, you want to act on it quick. You don't want to delay.
Right.
One other thing about the tort reform, the statute of limitations was shortened. Okay, so we used to have a 4-year statute of limitations for negligence cases, so car accident cases, slip and falls, negligent security, any kind of tort like that would be 4 years. It's now shortened to 2 years.
So they have to act quickly now.
They got to act quickly now. It used to be, you could take your time. If you didn't know if you wanted to do a case right away, you could go to a lawyer after a year. The lawyer could negotiate on your case. A year down the road, if he still hadn't gotten a settlement, he could file a lawsuit. Now you can't do that. You got 2 years, right? So you don't have time to screw around. You got to get on it right away because there's a lot that goes into filing a lawsuit. It doesn't happen overnight, right? So
I'm
you want.
assuming all the experts you have to call in to help you process everything that needs to
There's
be.
a lot that goes into it. Yeah, so I think that's the one advice I would say. Obviously, it was always the case that you want to document things the best you can. Take pictures of your injuries. If you take pictures of any evidence, if it was a car accident, take pictures of your car. If it was a slip and fall, take a picture of the water on the ground. If there's any witnesses, you want to make sure to give that information to your lawyer. Try to preserve evidence if there's any videotape, anything like that. That was always the case, and you still want to do those things. But now what's changed with the tort reform is just time is more of the essence. And the other thing is because there's a 2-year statute of limitations, if a client comes to me, after a year, if his accident was a year ago, I might be more reluctant to take that case now because I'm a busy guy, and I don't want to take a case where I only have a couple months, where I have a matter of months to get everything together and file a lawsuit, right? So I think it's going to be, number one, it's going to be harder to find a lawyer. That's the first thing, right? Because us lawyers are going to have to be pickier because it's going to be harder to pursue these cases now. We're going to have less time to do it, right?
Correct.
So lawyers are going to be pickier. We're only going to want to take the better cases. So it's going to be harder to find a lawyer, and you're going to have the longer you wait, it's going to make it even harder.
Because not
right?
every case is catastrophic, right? Not every, but
Yeah.
yet there's cases where you're hurt and you should rightfully get something.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not a big case like where this person gets destroyed, and of course,
Yeah.
those big cases, and attorneys want to take that.
Yeah.
But maybe not the smaller cases.
Maybe not. So it may be harder on the middle to smaller level cases. It may be harder to find a lawyer. So you don't want to dilly dally like maybe you could back in the day. You want to act quickly. That's the main advice I think I would give to. I mean, there's things that lawyers need to do differently now. But as far as injured people, initiate your case quicker and get to a lawyer quicker. That's what I would say.
Anthony,
Yeah.
this has been super enlightening.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Like, I didn't even know we were going to delve into the first person property, which to me blew my mind away.
Yeah.
And just educated me and will educate our listeners, as well as, for persons that are just getting injured themselves. We'd love to have you come back and talk about how this impacts attorneys at some point. But listen, how does someone get a hold of you if they are looking to consult with you?
Yeah, well, I'm easily accessible. So my best number to reach me is my cell phone. So that is 786-294-7711. And I'll say it could be not only people looking for a lawyer, but I always love talking to other lawyers. So just brainstorming this stuff. I get ideas from other lawyers and how they're adapting to things and how they're dealing with things. So it could be another personal injury lawyer that just wants to kick the can around, so to speak, and talk about these things and how they're adapting and dealing with stuff. I'm always happy to talk to anybody. So
That's gracious of you. What's your website?
my website is http. I get www.southlingjury.com. So southflinjury.com. And we have a bunch of materials, things that I've written. I did write, one of them was an article I wrote for the bar on the tort reform bill and how that was going to affect things. So all that stuff's on my website. So if anybody's interested in, reading more, getting more of our thoughts, it's all on the website. So, yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for spending some time, Anthony. Super enlightening, as I said, and wishing you happy holidays and for your return soon. Maybe right after New Year.
I'm always happy to come back. Thanks again to Braulio. Always been very good to me. Like I said, Braulio and I, like he said, Braulio and I have known each other for 15 years. I think before I could shave, maybe even. But he was a good mentor to me when I first started, help introduce me to people, get me involved in the bar, and that's how I've had whatever success I've had. Is a big part of that was the bar. So thanks again for everything you've done for me and the bar's done for me.
Thank you, my friend. Happy holidays.
Yeah, appreciate it.